I don't know. The question of affordability is huge because we're being pushed out, we're being priced out, and it isn't fair, it isn't sustainable for people to not be able to live where they work. I see what has happened in San Francisco and even Oakland, going to the Bay, where we barely exist. I grew up in San Francisco. When I was growing up, there were plenty of black folks there. Now it's a tiny, tiny number. And we're seeing this in city after city. The chocolate city, Washington, D.C., no longer quite so chocolate. I cannot remember the name of this park. They they had a park that used to be called Malcolm X Park in Washington, D.C. I can't remember what they named it now. They got rid of that name. It's now the name of the street where that park is. Why? Because there were no more black people in the neighborhood, and the folks that were there didn't really want a Malcolm X Park. And that's just one example. So I think it's important, not just for that, but for the fact that we want to live where we grew up. We want to live where our friends are. We want to live where our history is. And that is also a practical matter when you think about the infrastructure. The infrastructure, not just like water and power and buildings, which is also important, but things like community-based organizations that advocate for us. When I look at the case of Karmelo Anthony, the young kid, a 17-year-old who defended himself against bullies and then was charged with first-degree murder and now has been sentenced to 35 years in prison, adult prison, tried as an adult. One of the things missing in that scenario is advocacy, right? Those organizations, because there were organizations coming from outside to support, and there were some forming, like Mothers for Karmelo Anthony. But as far as having a local strong infrastructure, social justice infrastructure, just wasn't there. And that is one of the reasons why we like to stay where we've built these institutions. So what are your thoughts? Love to hear them. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. And it's interesting because it dovetails with the question of affordability, which politicians like to say, but what are you really doing? What are the proposals for affordability? What is your plan? Steve Hilton, Javier Becerra, Nithya Raman, Karen Bass, Mayor Bass. What is your plan, not just for the unhoused, but for everyday Angelinos, for everyday Californians, for everyday Americans to be able to buy bread, right? To be able to afford to feed our families and pay our rent. To get past survive and get to thrive. And I know maybe that's a lot to ask up against a Trump administration. Yesterday, the president said he doesn't care. He loves inflation. He doesn't care about you. He said he doesn't think about the average American when it comes to Iran at all. He's just thinking about keeping them nukes out of their hands. Well, that means he doesn't feel your pain. Oh, what's their talking point? Short-term pain for long-term gain. But whose gain? Not yours, not mine. Not the average American, the average Angelino, the average New Yorker. And congrats to the average New Yorker, by the way. Some of those average New Yorkers are texting me right now, gloating about their Knicks. I'm happy for you. Everyone should have a championship more than once every 60 years, 50 years, whatever it is. But anyway, my point is that I get that you're up against forces that seem to be insurmountable, like a president who doesn't care about our pain, who yesterday said that he loves inflation and then went into some kind of weird rant about how they were stealing oil from Iran in the cover of darkness and it was going to change the economy, that he had been carrying out shiploads of oil in the dead of night and no one knew about it. There's so many questions that come out of that. Number one, is it true? Number two, is it legal? Number three, is he just making stuff up and having delusionary rants? Or is this a plan where they're actually stealing oil, which could be because we saw them do it in Venezuela. Anyway, he said during that rant that he loves inflation, and he's certainly is fostering it. He's creating inflation by doing things like today the Iranian government has announced, well, actually it was yesterday, that they have completely shut down the Strait of Hormuz. No one gets through. Now Trump is threatening to seize Karg Island, which is the island over there by the Strait of Hormuz, which is a military strategic point for Iran, but also a water source for the entire region. So that would be a whole problem. The president threatening to step up attacks on Iran and take that island. It's crazy to me. He's sitting here bragging about stealing oil in the dead of night, but then gets mad and bombing them while we're in the middle of peace negotiations, alleged peace negotiations, as Israel does the same, but then gets angry when they close down the Strait of Hormuz. It's all so bad. It's all so bad. And so all of these things are impacting the price of everything. When you impact oil and gas prices, it takes gas to move vegetables. It takes oil and gas to transport your hamburger, right? Or whatever it is you're trying to buy. So every price goes up, and that hits the average American. So I think that makes it more urgent, not less responsibility for lawmakers to do everything within their power, locally, statewide, county level, to address this issue of affordability. How do we weather this storm? How do we get through the next 2.5 years of MAGA rule, MAGA governance, if you want to call it that, to really be able to survive without losing our homes, our rentals, without ending up unhoused. And so what are you all doing? What's the affordability agenda? And that's one of the things that I was happy to hear from the LA Black Workers Center, because when you're talking about things that make it more possible for us to get into the workforce and get careers, not just jobs, those are things that are on the preventative end. Things like the eviction protection, not just rules, which LA City Council has done a good job on that, albeit they may not have protected the small landlords, but they've done a good job in creating more eviction protections. Why can't we get rid of, on a statewide level, the Costa-Hawkins bill so that individual communities can decide what rent control they want to have? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. The LA Black Workers Center creating job opportunities. We've seen the city attorney here in the city of LA slowing down funds to pay for attorneys for folks who are in danger of getting evicted. Well, we're going to have a new city attorney. And so we need to make sure whoever that is, if it's going to be Marissa Roy, the progressive, or if it's going to be John McKinney, the prosecutor, out of the DA's office, we have to make sure that these issues of accountability and prevention of houselessness, prevention of destitution are high up on the agenda, that they're actually being addressed. 800-920-1580 if you would like to say a thing. 800-920-1580. I always love to hear from you. I'm Dominique DeFrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DeFrima when we come forward.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it!
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles, KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God!
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration.
Oh, celebrate.
We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, The Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Yeah, man.
I love days like these at the pool, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. I'm ready to make a splash with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza. Skyrizi is a prescription-only injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. At 4 months, most people saw 90% clearer skin when measured from head to toe, and many were even 100% plaque-free. People also saw significant improvement in psoriasis symptoms of pain, redness, itching, and burning.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Now there's nothing on my skin thanks to Skyrizi, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
The conversation continues right now with Dominic DePrima on First Things First.
It's funny, DeAndre's in the chat talking about he's never seen a kid with a 3.5 GPA who's captain of the football team with a knife. And so there's more to this story. And let me tell you, I've done a lot of reading, a lot of talking to people on the ground there in Texas, not just Dr. Melina Abdullah, others as well. And there is more to the story, but not what you're implying. And he didn't have a 3.5. He had a 3.8 GPA. He was captain of the football team. He also ran track. He was a multi-sport athlete, okay? And beloved by coaches and teachers and other students. And these twins, the one that was stabbed in that encounter, Austin Metcalf, 200 pounds each. There's two of them. They approached Karmelo, who was sitting down the whole time. That part is seen on tape. He's sitting down. They're towering over him. And from what I've been able to gather on the ground, allegedly these two twins, these 200-pound guys, high school students, were known bullies. And if you've ever been to high school, you know that there are certain people that have that reputation. You know that person will beat you up. That person, is down with this crew. We know these things. Not only that, they probably had seen each other around. They play football. They run. Karmelo runs track. I don't know if the twins do or not. So you've got that going on, and then of course there is the racial dynamic. These big twins also happen to be white, and it's not just the two twins and Karmelo by himself. There's a crowd of people. This is at a track meet. They're inside a tent. It starts raining. He ducks. He was invited into the tent, sat down. He was waved over. People knew him, and then he was talking to people, hanging out, and then the guys tell him to get out. Now, I myself do know of at least one kid who was actually a 4.0 student and an athlete in a different sport, which I won't say, who had a knife in his backpack. And I don't think it's that uncommon. I know plenty of women and kids, and we're not talking about some big hunting knife. We're talking about a pocket knife, the kind that lots of kids actually do have. So I think the way you're framing it as if this was some nefarious thing where the guy brings a hunting knife to a track meet. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that at all. And the lawyers for the teenager have already filed for appeal. I myself hope that the family gets different lawyers, and I think they probably will, based on a clip I saw of Karmelo Anthony's dad and what he was saying about the lawyers. I feel like they probably will. And then Tiffany Blacknell, her posts on Instagram where she talks about how shameful it was. Tiffany Town Blacknell, former defense attorney, public defender, and former prosecutor in George Gascon's office, she's talking in her post about how shameful it was that they only brought the mom in the penalty phase. Where are the coaches, the other kids that knew him, the teachers? To paint a portrait of this child as a person who deserves another chance. Because the sentence ranges between 5 years and 99 years, and this 19-year-old got 35 years. They're holding him in solitary. In isolation is what they say, solitary confinement, which is pretty extreme for a 19-year-old to be held. I mean, that's the kind of thing that can make somebody snap. And now they're circulating his mugshot, to make sure they taint future juries for appeal. I hate it so much. It makes it really hard to love your country. I do love my country. But the ugly side of America, the KKK America, it's an ugly, ugly, ugly thing. Don't make me cuss on this radio. He's being held in isolation. They will not say why. They claim they put him in a, quote, secure area of the jail away from other inmates. Well, he is still in county jail in Collin County, Texas, which has probably got their share of white supremacists. We saw them outside the court. And I saw this news reporter talking about the Karmelo Anthony case, and she was saying that there were crowds of people yelling racial slurs at each other. No, that's not right. The black people were not yelling racial slurs at the white supremacists. They were calling them fascists. They were calling them racists. But they weren't calling them saltines or any other racial slur. The racial slurs were coming in one direction only. Definition of a hate crime. Definition of a hate crime. Understand, the reason I'm saying that is because this both sidesing, it's giving Donald Trump, remember that there's fine people on both sides? That's not accurate reporting. It's not accurate reporting. And again, the Associated Press has a picture of the young person who tragically lost his life in this encounter after aggressing on Karmelo Anthony. And they have an old picture where he looks skinny, which is crazy because I've seen the picture of how he looked that day, and he was a big, scary looking guy. They will appeal. I pray that they will get different lawyers. And again, the only person they had at the penalty phase was the mom begging for mercy on her son, which is crazy because, of course, any juror, any judge is going to say, well, you're the mom. Of course you are going to miss him. Of course you are going to beg for mercy. We need to see the community. And for some unknown reason, those coaches, those other kids, the family, how about the family of the child whose life he saved from drowning? None of those folks spoke on his behalf. And he was sentenced to 35 years in prison for what should have been a self-defense case. And, I've spoken a lot on this. It's weighing on my spirit because these are the things that make it so hard to love America. They make me want to leave. I remember when I was in Ghana one time, and I was talking with Love and Sea and some other folks, radio people in Ghana, and somebody asked us, police kill black people. in America, don't they? And I said, yeah, they do. And they said, well, why don't you move? And it put everything in perspective. And obviously, Karmelo is not in jail for directly anything to do with police. But the fact that our justice system is so unfair, the fact that Kyle Rittenhouse carries a gun across state lines, murders 2 people at a protest, and gets off scot-free as self-defense, but a child, a 17-year-old who is shoved and menaced while he's minding his own business, who doesn't mean to kill someone but stabs them one time and runs away and then tells police what happened and inquires about the well-being of the other child, that child gets 35 years in prison. The fact that there is such a stark different standard for black people, black children in this country, makes it so hard to love America. And it does make you think, well, if I was in Ghana, everybody would be black, or most everybody. If I was in Tanzania. But my ancestors fought and died for this place. Our ancestors built the White House. Our ancestors laid the foundation for this country. And I want my 40 acres and the mule and the check. And so what does that leave us with? It leaves us with stay and fight. Team stay and fight. Fight for justice. Free Karmelo. Justice for Cyrus. Justice for Elijah. That's what it leaves me with. It leaves me with mourn, be sad, be angry, do what you got to do, and then get up and keep fighting. Because I still believe in the big picture, in the big arc, we win. We win. We have to win. When we fight, we win. Love to hear from you, 800-920-1580, news, traffic, and sports, then more, only right here.
Where the overlooked become unmissable, this is KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump has signed a major immigration funding bill. The measure was approved Tuesday.
On this vote, the yeas are 214. The nays are 212. The bill is passed. A motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The measure boosts funding for ICE and Border Patrol through the end of his term, following weeks of delays and a government shutdown before it cleared Congress. Atlanta leaders are addressing safety as the World Cup comes to town. Black Mayor Andre Dickens says the city is preparing for large crowds with increased police presence and longer MARTA patrol shifts following recent violent incidents. And Serena Williams is off to a strong start in her return to tennis. The 44-year-old legend and partner Victoria Mboko advanced to the quarterfinals at Queen's Club after a first-round win, marking Williams' first competitive match since 2022. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Wild Rivers is now open daily with over 25 slides and attractions for thrill seekers and lazy river chillers. Visit wildrivers.com for great values on season passes and daily tickets. That's wildrivers.com. Wild Rivers, where there's sun and fun for everyone.
Is this the Tiger? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A 29-point comeback Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden put the New York Knicks in the NBA record book. The comeback also put the Knicks one win away from their first NBA championship since 1973. A dramatic tip-in by OG Anunoby with 1.2 seconds left in the fourth quarter gave the Knicks a 107-106 victory over the San Antonio Spurs in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Anunoby is the new hero in New York City with a game-high 33 points. The Knicks have a 3-1 lead in the best-of-7. They can win the title with a victory in Game 5 Saturday in San Antonio. The Knicks were down by 27 at halftime and by 29 early in the third quarter. Erasing a 29-point deficit is the largest comeback in NBA Finals history. The previous record was a 24-point comeback by the Boston Celtics when they battled back against the Lakers in the 2008 NBA Finals. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Brothers and sisters,
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
Don't be anxious or confused about AI. Take control of your career when you get the skills to tackle real business problems and design specialized solutions. HR Dive reported that entry-level talent with applied AI credentials can receive up to a 25% salary boost. But where do you find training that you can trust? Future-proof your career and deliver more value with Humans Lead the Way AI. Their hybrid learning courses use practical definitions, real-world examples, and strategic insights to help you and your team understand AI with confidence. No magic, no hacks, no shortcuts. Just practical knowledge that helps you use AI more successfully. Don't wait. AI can never replace people who know how to use it well. Register for courses today at humansleadtheway.com. That's humansleadtheway.com.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. We continue our look at what is happening and what is not happening along the Destination Crenshaw corridor. Last time we talked about the promises made to this community. Today we talk about the reality on the ground, and it is not pretty. Let's start with something as basic as a visit to the vet. Customers of the local veterinary clinic right next door to this studio are forced to park blocks away and carry their sick and injured animals through conditions that no pet owner or sick animal should have to endure. Why? Because the construction has blocked access to the vet's parking lot for years now. The vet is losing clients, the vet is losing revenue, and frankly, who can blame these customers for not coming back? This is but one example of a small black-owned business being quietly strangled, and nobody at City Hall seems to notice or care. And the conditions along this corridor, they are not just an eyesore, they are a health hazard. Unsanitary conditions and repeated health code violations are doing exactly what you would expect, inviting vermin into our neighborhood, rodents, pests, the kind of infestation that does not stay in one place. It spreads into homes, into restaurants, into our daily lives for years now. Then there is this. The houseless are finding refuge in the construction cubbyholes and unfinished spaces left wide open along this project. These are precious human beings, to be sure, in desperate situations. But this is also a safety and liability crisis that the city created and has yet to address for years now. In our prior editorial, trying to save some space for grace, we did not call his name. But after a full week of running the editorial hourly, highlighting the myriad delays, business losses, health violations, safety concerns, and more, we have heard absolutely nothing from City Council President Marquise Harris Dawson. Nothing. Not a word. The council member who represents this district has gone silent. You see why we call this project procrastination, Crenshaw? And so I repeat, Crenshaw deserves better. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay. 800-920-1580. That's the number to call if you have something to say. 800-920-1580. I would love to hear from you. There's so many things going on. As usual, they're flooding the zone. But the one that stood out to me, aside from my just the tragedy of this case of Karmelo Anthony and the way that it illustrates the racism and unequal justice of this country, was our president saying he loves inflation. Just two very stark examples of where we are right now. I wish some lawmaker would make some kind of rule that you couldn't just put out mugshots of people until they're done with all of their appeals. They've plastered Karmelo Anthony, the 19-year-old's mugshot, after they shaved his head and stuck him in isolation, all over the news. And I find it to be very problematic. Now every juror and every prospective juror in any jurisdiction in an appeal will have seen that shot, along with the very lovable younger shots of the young man who tragically lost his life. Is that just? Is it fair? I would argue it is not. Let's go to Joy, calling us from Long Beach. Good morning, Joy.
Hi, good morning, Dominique. Like you, this case has, with Karmelo Anthony, has been heavy on my mind, and my heart just goes out to this young man. Well, yeah, he's a young man now, but still a baby, and his family. And it just puts me in the mind of so many young people, including my nephew, who have been bullied and get unfair treatment, even though they were the victim. And like you were saying, it should have been treated as a self-defense case. Like, this young man was doing nothing but minding his own business. And people, the other young man who unfortunately lost his life because of his own actions, I'm just saying, came up to this kid and started bullying him. It's like, why? That shows a lack of character. He was showing the young man, Austin Metcalf, he was showing his character when he approached when he approached Karmelo and began to pester him, began to bully him. And so Karmelo stood up for himself. And with everything that I've heard, it wasn't like his response wasn't out of malice. It was out of self-defense. He didn't even keep stabbing the young man. He acted in self-defense once and then ran away. I'm just like, I'm so hurt by how he's been treated and this sentencing, and it really puts me in the mind of my nephew. He is about to be 17 in 2 months, and he lives in a southern state. He doesn't have any siblings, and he's been bullied multiple times, and he's told the school about it, and not much has been done. And so my nephew made a comment, and he was suspended from school because of the comment that he made. And I asked my nephew, as well as contacted the school. He and his mother and I don't speak, so I couldn't reach out to her. But I'm in another state. I contacted the school and I'm like, hey, what's going on with my nephew? And the situation with him being bullied. And they were candid with me as much as they could since I'm not the parent. And I'm saying, okay, well, you disciplined him for a comment, but he's consistently being bullied by several people, not just comments, but physically. And nothing's being done to them. Just, maybe a verbal reprimand or a stint in detention. So, yeah, it just shows the disparity of treatment. And it's really hard to deal with. I'll be 49 next month. Ooh, I don't want to start crying. Ooh.
Well, I'm not going to lie. This one has had me crying. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
It's terrible. We're watching a young person being lynched in slow motion.
Yeah. And what I was getting ready to say is, I'm getting ready to be 49 next month. But within this last decade, or maybe, beginning with the Tamir Rice killing.
Oh, yes.
I've seen more racism in these latter years of my life than I've seen growing up.
Well, I mean, some of that is backlash, right? I mean, we had President Obama, and they all the people that are white supremacists or closet white supremacists lost their minds, and we've been paying the price ever since. I mean, I really think that's part of it. Not to say that we were in this, utopia before with no racism, but my child was going to a predominantly white institution when Trump was elected. And we saw the difference. We saw the emboldening of these white supremacists. We saw these little kids who probably didn't, because he was still very young, who probably didn't know, but they must be getting it from their parents or somewhere, suddenly acting out.
Oh, yeah, they had to be. I was in Cerritos maybe 2 years ago, and I had walked past this restaurant, and I heard a little girl say the N-word when I walked past, and whoever the adult was with her was like, shh. And I've been called
it's crazy.
Monkey, gorilla, all of that. But this is the thing with me, even though I didn't experience much racism when I was growing up, I never thought it went anywhere. When we would watch things about the civil rights movement and all of that in class, I don't know, I never thought that racism went anywhere. It just, certain laws made it where you couldn't show your racism, or at least show it in the ways that they had been showing it. It didn't change the hearts of people, these laws, these marches, all of that.
Well,
maybe some.
Yeah, right. Maybe some. I'm not going to lie. When we elected President Obama, I did feel like America. I didn't think that racism went away because the vitriol was there throughout that election. But what I did believe is that I believe we were moving out of it. We were moving into an era, not a post-racial era, but an era where we at least had enough of a critical mass of America to elect and re-elect a black president, albeit a moderate, but still a black president, and that this represented progress for the United States. I no longer see it that way.
No, I felt the same way, and I guess I still do, because it showed that people were willing, like you were saying, to move in a different direction. it showed who was thinking what, who was feeling what. But like you said, these people who were closeted racists did lose their minds. And when you had someone like this demon that is holding the White House hostage, that's what I say. I will never call him a president. When he came out and voiced his racism and encouraged other people to, they did. So he just brought his kind out of the woodworks, out of
he made them brave. He made them brave enough to storm the Capitol. And now they're even braver because they stormed the Capitol, went to jail, got pardoned, and were, he was trying to give them a big check. He's trying to give them white people reparations. And it seems like that's been stopped by Republicans, but we'll see because it ain't over till it's over. And so now they're going to be even bolder. I can threaten to hang the vice president of the United States who's white and then get a pardon. Like, wow, I can beat up cops and then get a pardon. So, of course, I can, push and bully a black kid, and the racial dynamics of that town and that county. These two children were in rival schools. And it was, even if you don't count the crowd around, it was 2 against 1 because this 200-pound Austin Metcalf, he had a 200-pound twin that was with him who was supposed to testify at that trial and didn't show up, but somehow doesn't get subpoenaed or forced to testify. And then if you heard on yesterday, Dr. Malina Abdullah, who was there outside the courtroom, that they were subjected to monkey sounds and being called all kinds of N-words and taunted and having trucks driven towards them and things, while they were simply there to support the family of Karmelo Anthony. The family has to move, relocate, because they're getting death threats. They have to have security. And so this has turned into a whole other thing. But it is, I think this is what you're getting at, Joy, is that this is emblematic of where we are right now in America, where these white supremacist, racist, throwback KKK or closet or subconscious racists are emboldened. They feel empowered. They feel invincible. And they are coming for us and our kids. And I'm not a paranoid person. I'm not a doom and gloom person. I'm rainbows and ponies and crystals and butterflies. But, you also have to look at the objective conditions on the ground and react and respond and prepare.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm dealing with more racism in my own life and viewing more racism that's being reported than in these last, few years than I have in the beginning of my life up until like my mid-30s. And I'm like, Lord, how do I deal with all of this? Like, what am I supposed to do with the racism that I've experienced? Like, how am I supposed to respond, and what am I supposed to do for my brothers and sisters? And I have been out there in the streets. I have marched and other things, but I really feel like I should be doing more. I don't know what. That's not an excuse.
Well, it's overwhelming, but I do feel like joining an organization, whether it's the NAACP, the Urban League, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter has an organizing meeting Sunday in Leimert Park at the BLM-LA Center for Black Power. And, you can go there. They actually feed you dinner. They give you a free bag of groceries, and then you can do that. You can, or if it's better for you to do something, that you feel is more mainstream or safer, you could go NAACP, you could go Urban League, you could go Community Coalition. I think that being part of, or at least engaging with an organization, is helpful because you're not alone and they're working on strategies, right? Not just protests. We see people protesting, but the protest is just the tip of the iceberg. I so appreciate the call, Joy. Joy called me at 800-920-1580. I encourage you to do the same. KBLA, Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
For communities impacted by the war on drugs, Cannabis legalization was supposed to create opportunity, but too often people entered the industry without the information they needed to succeed. That's why the Los Angeles County Office of Cannabis Management, in partnership with Life Development University, is presenting the Cannabis Worker Voices Panel on June 13th at 3 p.m. at Life Development University, located at 4241 Crenshaw Boulevard. Hear directly from cannabis workers about their career journeys, day-to-day experiences, challenges, and opportunities. Learn about workforce pathways, transferable skills, and what working in the legal cannabis industry really looks like. Free public education designed to help you make informed decisions before investing your time, money, or energy. Register today at lacountycannabised.org or call 323-747-6728.
If you're an African American mom who is pregnant or have a baby under 6 months old, you deserve care that lifts, listens, and lasts. Black Infant Health is for you. It's a free program with individual support, group sessions, and resources to start your mothering journey. BIH makes space for moms and their families to create community. Learn more about the programs in Los Angeles County. Check us out at blackinfanthealth.org.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, thank you, Joy, for the call. And I've been continuously surprised by the vitriol, the hate online from white folks and even some black folks who are saying that Karmelo Anthony is a murderer, even though we have countless cases. You know, Kyle Rittenhouse, case in Allison, and countless other examples of white kids who either got self-defense or got off scot-free, not to mention Rick Chow, who, you know, in the case of Cyrus Belton Carmack, where the child had left the store and the whole adult family chases him and kills him, and then he gets off with no consequences. But yet this 17-year-old child who, and I think Joy made an important point, stabbed the bully one time and then ran. It's not like he was in a rage and trying to kill him. He was trying to get him off him and run away. And of course, as Attorney Townend Blacknell pointed out, you also have to think about the adolescent mind. The adolescent brain doesn't have the impulse control or the logic of an old person like you. And so their responses are going to be different. It's also true that the judge has put on the stipulation that Karmelo Anthony must serve 17 years before he's even eligible for parole, which is really so out of proportion, so punitive, so racist. I mean, I I don't know how else you slice it. You look at the backlash to even Cardi B saying she thought this was disgusting. It's just, it's racism. It's a double standard. It's unequal justice. And it's sad to me that so many people are in denial about this, or they're trying to virtue signal for MAGA, whatever they're doing. Let's go to Fred from L.A. Hi, Fred.
Hello, Dominique. 3 things on this thing. Have you ever been on jury duty?
Yes.
Okay. There's 3 elements of premeditated murder in this Karmelo Anthony thing.
You're going to have to give me the short version because you only got 2 minutes here.
I'm faster than that. 1, he put the knife in his backpack. 2, he opened it. And number 3, if the June 19th picnic's coming up, so I show up there, and some people invite me under their tent because of the sun, and I sit down. A couple of big bullies come over to me, you say they're 200 pounds, and invite me to leave. I refuse to leave. So I reach into my backpack, and I get my
No, you left out the part where they shoved him. You left out the part where they put their hands on him. That is a key component, Fred, because when somebody puts hands on me, I have a right to defend myself. That is the definition of self-defense.
Yeah, the one that deceased, the one that died, got killed, got pushed him. So he reaches into his back. I reach into my backpack and get my .38 out, and I shoot him in the chest. In this case, he reached into his backpack. Either he opened his knife or was already open.
It was a pocket
and he shoved
knife,
it in
yes.
his heart. That's 3 counts of premeditated murder.
Okay.
How
Well,
you
you're
gonna
not a
survive?
lawyer, and you are a Republican, full of Republican talking points. And this is what I'm talking about. Thank you, Fred. This is what I'm talking about. Black people like Fred, because I've met Fred. He came to one of our events. He's black, certifiably African American. But the fact that he's over here defending the railroading of this child, why isn't it then, Fred, why isn't it premeditated when a kid takes a gun across state lines and shoots 2 protesters? The act of grabbing your knife and defending yourself in the after you've had someone put hands on you is not premeditated. It's called self-defense. You have to defend yourself with something. You're 150, there's 400 pounds plus between the 2 of them. Incredible. You know what else we have to do, Joy? We got to pray. All right, it's Black Music Month, and we're going to take you on a little Black Music Month ride after news, traffic, and sports, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. President Trump has signed a major immigration funding bill. The measure was approved Tuesday.
On this vote, the yeas are 214. The nays are 212. The bill is passed. A motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
The measure boosts funding for ICE and Border Patrol through the end of his term, following weeks of delays and a government shutdown before it cleared Congress. Atlanta leaders are addressing safety as the World Cup comes to town. Black Mayor Andre Dickens says the city is preparing for large crowds with increased police presence and longer MARTA patrol shifts following recent violent incidents. And Serena Williams is off to a strong start in her return to tennis. The 44-year-old legend and partner Victoria Mboko advanced to the quarterfinals at Queen's Club after a first-round win, marking Williams' first competitive match since 2022. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Wild Rivers is now open daily with over 25 slides and attractions for thrill seekers and lazy river chillers. Visit wildrivers.com for great values on season passes and daily tickets. That's wildrivers.com. Wild Rivers, where there's sun and fun for everyone.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A 29-point comeback Wednesday night at Madison Square Garden put the New York Knicks in the NBA record book. The comeback also put the Knicks one win away from their first NBA championship since 1973. A dramatic tip-in by OG Anunoby with 1.2 seconds left in the fourth quarter gave the Knicks a 107-106 victory over the San Antonio Spurs in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Anunoby is the new hero in New York City with a game-high 33 points. The Knicks have a 3-1 lead in the best-of-7. They can win the title with a victory in Game 5 Saturday in San Antonio. The Knicks were down by 27 at halftime and by 29 early in the third quarter. Erasing a 29-point deficit is the largest comeback in NBA Finals history. The previous record was a 24-point comeback by the Boston Celtics when they battled back against the Lakers in the 2008 NBA Finals. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm James Farr. $2.5 billion. Governor Gavin Newsom said it was there for fire survivors in Altadena and the Palisades. No strings attached. That was the promise. But the burning question is, where's it at? 18 months later, an NBC4 investigation came back with the numbers. The numbers don't answer the question, they deepen it. Where's it at? About $605 million has been spent, roughly 75% still not released. Where's it at? Roughly $14 million went to CHP overtime and ICE immigration protest response for crowd control. Not rebuilding homes, not rebuilding lives, but crowd control. Where's it at? Another $13 million went to the state health department for video campaigns while fire survivors waited. While families in Altadena are still trying to put their lives back together, still trying to get housed, this is the hope gap and it's real. Where's it at? Southern California Edison is still in court, still fighting liability tied to the Eaton fire, still not accountable. Where's it at? 18 months later, Governor Newsom, where's it at? Because the truth is free, but the lie can be very expensive. And right now, fire survivors want to know what happened to no strings attached. And I've been saying on this mic for the past 18 months, somebody or somebodies didn't do their job. Now it's documented. Governor Newsom, listen closely. You didn't do your job. You didn't keep your promise. You held up the bill. Now stop holding up the money. You said no strings attached. Instead, you played on the people's heartstrings. Where's it at? See, Governor Newsom, even at the French Laundry, if it don't come out in the wash, it's sure enough gonna come out in the rinse, and the rinse cycle is here. With the KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm James Farr, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
What's up? I'm excited to let you know that this is the legendary audio effects series beat tape, and a bunch of my homies is gonna get you right. Let's do it.